Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the TMZ Podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton, and joining me today is our number 3 lawyer at TMZ, Derek Kaufman.
Call me Tommy Cutlets.
Tommy Cutlets.
Sorry, we're both very excited about Tommy Cutlets winning games for the Giants, and I know we're not going to talk about it today, but it is the biggest thing going on in sports. So check out TMZ Sports if you want more news.
This Italian quarterback who does the bellissimo actions with his... What do you call that action with your hands?
It's the allowable... Oh, it's like talking with your hands. He's like, I'm winning over here.
Yeah, he does that celebration. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that because we've got 3 pretty dark and serious stories to discuss, but my God, aren't they big? Jonathan Majors' trial, the cab driver who, the argument took place in his car, he's now come forth and he's telling his side of the story. Very interesting.
The guy we've been waiting to hear from during this whole saga.
Right.
Now taking the stand.
Elon Musk is a sociopath. That is, according to a father of a victim of the Sandy Hook shooting, because Elon Musk has reinstated Alex Jones, conspiracy theorist, and is doing Twitter X spaces with him, and this guy, Elon Musk.
This guy.
But the biggest story of the day, bigger than those two combined, Kanye West. He wore a KKK-style hood on stage as he did his album release for his album Vultures. He was joined by big celebrities, Offset, Freddie Gibbs, Lil Durk, Kodak Black, Chris Brown, and North West as he debuted this album, which of course has that song, I Fucked a Jewish Bitch.
Yes, it has that lyric. I don't know. Is that the entire song name? I believe that's just a lyric in the song.
Okay, that might be the lyric.
But there is a song called Black Skinhead. So if you think this is a coincidence that he's wearing the pointy hood and, gesturing to the crowd, it doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. I think he is cultivating this image as a black skinhead. That's what he wants to be. That's how he's decided to position himself in entertainment, and it's wild to me. Now, what's even wilder are the 2 elements that you also mentioned. Who's around him? Who's co-signing on this? Real artist. Offset from the Migos, doesn't need Kanye West, but he's supporting him here. Freddie Gibbs, Lil Durk, Kodak Black, who's got his own history of getting in trouble. Chris Brown, obviously, I don't expect much more from Chris Brown than doing stuff like this. But the tragic thing is North West. Don't you find this tragic? This is his daughter being exposed to these noxious views, and Kim has, I think, little control over this. This is her father.
Well, North isn't just there. She's on stage. She's rapping. She's part of the album Vultures. Also's there. Chicago's there. And Saint's there. Kanye's new girlfriend, Bianca Censori, is carrying Chicago. New mum alert. What must Kim think looking at all of this? Can you divorce Kanye, the dad, with Kanye, the anti-Semite?
She's in an impossible situation. In one sense, you want a very involved father, and on some level, Kanye West does like to be involved in their lives. But in another sense, he's the worst person to have around impressionable young minds, because this is where you learn hate. This is where you learn sort of from your parents how to view the world and how to process it. I think about this all the time. Peach is a little bit younger. My kids are getting older, and they're like sponges. You've heard this before, and they parrot what you say. They observe your behavior, and they bring that out into the world. That means Northwest, who is the oldest of the kids, is watching her dad in a pointed KKK hood, rapping and spewing all this vile hatred and traipsing around Europe.
She adores him,
She adores him. That's her idol. What else is she supposed to... it's not her fault. Her father is an exciting guy. And to a kid, this is just exciting behavior. There's crowds whooping and hollering. I mean, what is she supposed to think other than this is the way I should conduct myself?
I would have thought that when the Israel-Hamas war broke out, that would have been really bad for business for Kanye, because he had already said such dark anti-Semitic things, done such horrible things.
Just the opposite.
But just the opposite thing happened, that the war normalized anti-Semitism so that his views were more commonplace and didn't seem so outrageous.
If anything, it looks like he was ahead of the curve, spewing this stuff before the October 7th attacks in Israel by Hamas, and it looks like he was prescient, and he was like, this is where the world is going. I'm an artist. Artists often get to things before the rest of the world, and that's why they're controversial. And Kanye sees himself as a genius and an artist, and he said, I'm looking at the world. There's a little bubbling anti-Semitism. I'm going to get out ahead of it. And now the world has kind of followed. You have university presidents getting in trouble for not condemning genocide against Jews. You got a Harvard president sitting in Congress. This is wild to me.
He
The moral confusion over this issue is strange.
He
and
he
was
must
at the forefront.
He must think he's a trendsetter in some way.
Yes.
He really must.
How else can he see himself? He feels emboldened by all of this stuff going on.
And also, I think I mentioned it yesterday on the pod, but yeah, I should mention it again.
Yep.
This whole time he's got a logo on his back, which is a double eagle, which is basically the coat of arms of Germany for their national defense.
Yep.
That was the logo for the Nazis before they decided to go with the swastika.
Yeah, it's very controversial imagery. Like, I believe it was Albania's soccer team also had the double eagle for a little while, and it always brings out these stories of like, well, that's some fascist imagery right there, and that's, co-signing on that. The one thing I'll say is Kanye being so out front with his anti-Semitism. I mean, he doesn't really hide it. He doesn't, sort of do what university presidents do, where they sort of couch it in the language of free speech and so forth. I think he highlights the sort of clownishness of it in, I hope, what will be a helpful way for people to sort of see it laid bare. This is the hate in its most raw, unfiltered form, and it's gross. You don't want to live in a society where this kind of stuff is spewed and
but we do
nasty.
But we do, and we also sort of like reward it because we live in an attention economy. This whole economy, money, is based on clicks these days. It's all digital. It's all clicks. And love me or hate me, I don't care,
Yeah.
as long as you don't feel indifferent towards me, will you listen to this album? You're a Jewish man. Will you listen to Kanye's album?
I won't, but I don't have a passion for Kanye West in the first place.
Okay.
So me giving up Kanye West hasn't been all that difficult to me. Like, he's a guy who I was like happy to see kind of marginalized. I was like, oh, he's a genius. I like College Dropout, but since then it's too artistic for me. But what I will say is he does seem to be folding back into the mainstream. I mean, it was unthinkable for someone like Offset with his profile to be seen with Kanye West in the immediate outburst when he was out there on podcasts and talking about
InfoWars.
Yeah. And when he was on InfoWars with Alex Jones, it didn't seem like he was ever going to like re-enter mainstream society, but he is.
Yeah. I mean,
and people, and he's not even running away from the views. There was no big public apology. He made snarky comments about what he said.
He's leaning in.
He's leaning in, and people are following. That's the scary thing. I mean, he didn't sort of apologize, really.
No, and that is the big takeaway from this. Kanye's back.
He's back. He is. I don't like to admit it, but he's certainly back in some sense.
This album is going to go number one,
and he's really talented. Even though I don't love the music, I get it.
I get
Kanye West is appealing.
He's a creative genius who does his own thing, and something about being your own warrior is appealing. But my God, terrible,
very strange.
Jonathan Majors, his assault trial is taking twists and turns because a couple days ago, texts came out which seemed to support what the alleged victim was saying, his ex-girlfriend. But now, the driver in the cab where the alleged assault took place has taken the stand, and he seems to think that Jonathan's ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabbari, that she was the aggressor.
Yeah, this is the guy we've been waiting for because the text messages weren't directly clear, right? I mean, they seem to insinuate that there had been some sort of physical confrontation and he was maybe hinting at, you shouldn't say what actually happened because it'll make me look bad. There'll be an investigation, all this kind of stuff. But it was unclear. It was unclear. The doubt, it was ambiguous.
But Majors almost sort of like conceded that something had taken place that had caused the injury on her face.
That's right. So it was a good day at trial for her. Good, in quotes.
Right.
I mean, it was a bad day for him. Let's say that. This was a good day for him because this is a person who we've been waiting to hear from. Is the guy in the cab is supposed to be an independent third party who observed what happened. You expect the alleged victim, Grace Jabbari, and Jonathan Majors to have their own versions of the narrative. No one's going to say they're the villain. But this guy just watched it, or sort of. He said he was keeping his eye on the road, and that's going to really undercut whatever the hell he has to say. If he's driving and he's got to stay eyes on the road, he said he was listening, and it sounded like she hit him.
I don't know. I've been in cabs and Ubers. If you are having an argument, and because often you're in the back of an Uber when you're drunk.
Yes,
which I think these two probably were at the time too. And so you can see the cab driver looking back at you if you're sort of like making out.
Oh,
or
yeah,
if you're arguing.
Taxi Cab Confessions was built around this.
So he says I'm looking at the road because he doesn't want to lose his job. But he probably had a side eye on the rearview mirror.
Yeah, there was something he said about like the sound of the impact of the hits made it seem like she was the aggressor or seemed like she was the one hitting him. What's unclear to me is like, I think this was probably like a back and forth of some sort. Now, does it matter who initiated it? Absolutely. If she's wailing on him and he is sort of restraining her, grabbing her wrist or something like that, it's a very different case than if he's just beating her, right? He's the larger individual. I'm not so sure that this will win the day on who sort of is to blame at the end of the day. Let's say she sort of like grabbed at the phone and he physically assaulted her. I still think he's got a problem because her grabbing at a phone is not necessarily justify him hitting her.
Yeah, is there something
tough
Is there something called mutual combat in the law? Like, I, that sounds kind of gross, like, because it's a man and a woman, but isn't there something called mutual combat?
Yeah, you'll see it a lot in police reports where they're like, we're not going to press charges here because of mutual combat. And all that means is it's messy. It's messy, and therefore to prove assault or to prove battery, you have to prove an intentional hitting and an unwanted touching. And if you're both in a fracas, we don't know who's at fault, so we're not going to charge both parties. They can also charge both parties if they want, but it's a much harder case to bring when there's a lot of fighting going on in both directions.
Totally.
And so that's why mutual combat comes up, and this is starting to look like that. And you've got this guy now. This is my question to you. Do you trust this guy? He's the cab driver. I don't know. There's always the element of, like, who's the famous person in the car?
Jonathan Majors.
Yes.
But I mean, then you could, who's the pretty girl in the car if he was supporting her? Like,
fair enough.
There's different reasons one might support someone. I think you got to, like, take him at his word, and his word is only that I heard things, so it's not that, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't win the day, but this will come down to his credibility. When you're in the middle of a trial, there's a jury sitting there, and they're looking at him, and they're wondering, should I believe this guy? That's what we mean by a credibility determination, is the jury literally staring at witnesses and saying, does what this guy says, is what this guy's saying make sense?
But also,
believe him?
Is he right, though, as well? Did he get it right? Because if he's only hearing it, maybe he got it wrong. Where is the video? Because don't cabs and Ubers and everything have video all the time?
Yeah, some of them have dash video, right? I mean, to protect themselves. So I wonder if that exists here. If in some sort of motion in limine, which is before the trial starts, did they say, I don't want to bring that in because it's inflammatory? Sometimes the video won't prove the case one way or another. So they'll say, this would just confuse the jury. It would be cumulative.
That would be the smoking gun.
If it existed, I think you'd see it. And
I thought all cabs and stuff have those dash things.
You know, I don't know. I mean, his could have been off. It could have been obscured. It could not have captured the moment. But you're right. If they're in the back seat, you think of those dash videos. We see them all the time on Twitter of people being racist towards Uber drivers and so forth. That should exist. And if it does, where the hell is it?
Man, I'd make a good lawyer, huh?
You'd be good.
Show me the evidence.
I think a paralegal. We'll start you there.
A paralegal? What do they do?
You're the helper for the lawyer.
Oh.
We won't quite put you in law school.
Okay, on to our final story. Elon Musk, what is he doing? He seems to be circling the drain a little these past few years because he's now, joining and supporting conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, look, he's bringing Alex Jones back. There's no bigger conspiracy theorists, but Elon Musk has cloaked himself in the First Amendment. He says, I'm the champion of this. Twitter's content moderation was ruining Twitter, so I went out and I bought the damn thing. I own it, and I'm going to have whoever the hell I want on this platform. He's allowed to. I mean, look, Alex Jones is a popular voice in some circles.
Well,
he's a disgusting voice, but he's got followers. A lot of people listen to Alex Jones. He's going to let him say what he wants to say.
Because a few years ago, or a year ago, after he had first bought Twitter, Elon said that he would never reinstate Alex Jones. And Alex Jones obviously got booted in the first place for saying that the Sandy Hook massacre was carried out by actors.
Not only booted, lost a defamation lawsuit and was hit with nearly $1 billion in damage.
I thought it was $1.5 billion.
Or sorry, $1.5 billion in damages.
It's actually been a good little couple months for Alex Jones because the families of the victims just agreed to cut that to 6%. They say if you only pay us 6% of the $1.5 billion will go away.
That's a nice 6%.
So I mean, you feel pretty good about that if you're Alex Jones. And now you get back onto Twitter, so you're going to get back into relevancy and you're going to get back popular again.
So do they like this, the Sandy Hook parents, that he can go monetize and make some money on Twitter?
No.
On X.
They think Elon Musk is a sociopath. And I think a lot of people would agree because a year ago when he bought Twitter, he said, I have no mercy for anyone who would use the deaths of children for gain, politics, or fame. That was 12 months ago. About Alex Jones.
Yeah.
A year goes by. Tucker Carlson now has his sort of X show on the platform, and his most recent interview was Alex Jones. Did a sit down with Alex Jones, and that sort of made waves all over X. and it led Elon Musk to put up a poll, should I reinstate him or not? And for some reason, 70% of people said yes, so he's back. And then on Sunday, Elon Musk and a few of these other right-wing people had like a Twitter Spaces where they all like chatted about everything, and
I'll give you the reason that 70% wanted to reinstate him. What's happened to X is a lot of the sensible people have fled. It's become sort of this hellscape. It's not an enjoyable place to be. So the people who are left are people who really enjoy hellscapes.
Right.
So the 70% are those people who are voting, yeah, bring him back. We love the free-for-all. So all the content moderating voices are like, I'll just try something else. I'll go elsewhere to another platform. And they're trying to shrink X. The advertisers are fleeing. And
they're trying to shrink X?
Well, yeah. When you flee a platform, you're saying, I don't think that is a good thing to use anymore. I hope if we pull users away, it'll shrivel on the vine. And that's what advertisers are doing too. When they said, remember when they said you could get anti-Semitic messages next to ads and all the advertisers fled? And he said, hey, fuck you. I don't need advertisers.
But yes. And
so they're trying to kill Twitter.
Advertisers won't love this new move too. So then what is Elon Musk doing? Twitter isn't a business to him. It's just a vanity project.
That's right. Elon, if you accept him at his word, he said this on stage, I don't care. You're not going to blackmail me about my views or pressure me with money. Advertisers, I don't need your dollars. I bought this thing for, $40 billion. I've got $200 billion. You're not going to push me around by taking advertiser money. So in some sense, he's trying to say, I'm principled and you can go ahead and kill my thing, but his thing might die. So his platform is going to shrink in its relevance over time because of moves like this. And then he's like, okay, I fought for the free amendment, but I lost.
But
because I don't think he cares. What does it matter if
I think this is what he wants. This is what he wants. Like Elon Musk is now that's a conspiracy theorist. Sort of. I don't know why he's been so sort of radicalized in the last few years. He was quite a normal genius a few years ago, and we're all Team Elon. Let's get us to Mars.
He can land rockets. Who cares?
I mean, he was like just such a beloved son of the country, and now he's like just a villain and loving being a villain.
He loves it. He wanted to be Lex Luthor, and he's achieved that. Look, if you're taking Elon's perspective, he's like, the speech we need to protect the most are the Alex Jones. That's his view of the world. Is that yes, he's saying the most protected speech is the speech you don't like. There's no use in protecting speech that is nice. Everyone knows that that's allowable. He's saying you got to protect the bad views. And the Alex Jones are the people that we actually need to protect. And I think that's crazy. Like, he's so far off the reservation that he's spreading disinformation. I think he's a dangerous person. But that's Elon's philosophy. Elon is like, that this is the bold thing, to protect someone like Alex Jones's right to perpetuate his views.
Yeah, I mean,
right? That's freedom of speech.
Totally. Elon Musk is just a bizarre character, and he just like Kanye, he continues to lean in to what inflames people. That is what he wants to do. He wants to agitate.
Yes. But there's a large segment of the population that loves this agitation. I mean, I said it's kind of going to shrivel, but it's going to just become a marginalized voice of like really rabble-rousing grossness. I mean, this has always existed though. Like, Reddit and 4chan, those things have, their supporters.
Yeah.
And it's really out there stuff. Want to go watch a snuff movie on 4chan? That's existed for, I don't want to, but that's existed for a very long time. So I just think Twitter used to be a very relevant thing for the discourse, and I think it's becoming less relevant because of moves like this.
Now, you agitate, but you don't like to agitate? I'm just asking you, Derek.
I am agitating. My general presence bothers people.
Yeah, you're irritable. No.
I'm irritating.
You're irritating.
Maybe if you're irritable, you don't want to be around someone like me who is irritating. I give people rashes.
Right. Okay, well, thank you for joining me on the pod today, Derek.
Always fun.
And we'll see you guys here tomorrow. Goodbye.